Sheldon Keefe is not happy with the way his team has performed this season, despite having a winning record and despite some stretches of dominance. The Leafs have made a massive lineup change that will show to have implications this season as well as long term. And as Drake once said, the Leafs are out here looking for revenge tonight against the Florida Panthers in Sunrise. They're going to try to avenge that bullying they took against those Panthers in the second round. My name is Fouad Suleiman from Leafs Digest. Let's get it. So yes, like I said, Sheldon Keefe is not really happy with the way his team has performed this season. He doesn't like the performance. Like, look at this quote right here. We weren't able to take charge of the game and you let your opponents hang around. We've seen this movie before. That is the quote of a man who is frustrated. It's also the quote of a man who is in touch with the Leafs fan base. Like, I think he's a Leafs fan deep down like all of us because he is saying everything we say to ourselves every time we watch this team. Like, they're amazing most of the time. But those inconsistencies, those mistakes, those defensive lapses, those mental lapses, they drive everyone insane. And this movie has been going on for a loop forever. Like, it's been going on since this core got together in 2018. It's been a team that can score the absolute lights out of the building for large stretches of the game, large stretches of a season. But when it comes down to crunch time, when it comes down to those lull moments in between the game, the detail-oriented moments where you have to be on your P's and Q's, they make catastrophic errors all the time. And you could say they're mental errors, but like, this team is not a young team anymore. Like, we kind of see Matthews and Nylander and Marner as these kids, but they're in their mid to late 20s now. They are not kids anymore. John Tavares, of course, very much not a kid. He's a veteran. We know that these guys should be veteran presence by now. They should have a veteran mindset towards the game. Now, people can say, hey, Sheldon Keefe is bugging out. It's a little too early to bug out. Fans, relax. It's too early to freak out. But see, Sheldon Keefe is smart for this because good habits take a long time to build and bad habits take even longer to break. And this team has had the same habits for 6 years, right? It's been the same habits year in and year out. Mike Babcock, Sheldon Keefe, Lou Lamoriello, Kyle Dubas, Brad Treliving, it doesn't matter. The Leafs have had these habits ingrained in them. So Sheldon Keefe is starting early, and by calling out his team so early, he's basically shaking them and saying, hey, stop it. Get those habits out of your body right now. Get them out of your head, because this team has got to be absolutely perfect come springtime, come playoff time. You guys got to be perfect. You guys cannot be throwing the puck away in your own zone. You can't be letting guys into your zone without even so much as a breath on them. So I kind of like this approach by Sheldon Keefe. I think him being a hard ass early in the season, telling the media, hey, these guys played like crap tonight, even though, hey, they might win 5-4 tonight, but hey, you know what? If they did not play to their system, if they were not defensively responsible, if they made ridiculous lapses that ended up in multiple goals, I want to see him call this team out, because it's not good enough to be good enough in the regular season. Like, ooh, look at us. Hey, we're number 2 in the division. Maybe we're number 1 in the division. But I want Sheldon Keefe to say, no, this is not playoff hockey. Great. President's Trophy, hang the banner. We're good. We love regular season wins. Hey, I love regular season wins. But I want to see him say, hey, if this does not meet the playoff standard, it doesn't meet my standard. And that's what I want to see from Sheldon Keefe. And with that comes a lineup change. So Matthew Knies is moving on up to the east side, moving on up to the second line alongside John Tavares and the absolutely scorching William Nylander. Like, this move means a couple of things. First of all, this team freaking loves Matthew Knies. Sheldon Keefe loves Matthew Knies. Like, he is a guy that they put into the playoffs. Like, his first couple games of his career were in the playoffs. They love the way this guy plays. They love the way this guy competes. They love how he fits. He is such a physical presence. Even though he just turned 21, like the way he can command the puck, his puck control, his toughness, the way he can get those scoring chances. I mean, his first ever goal was like a between the legs 360, like he was Vince Carter or something. And yeah, like the team loves him. And you can see by the quotes that his teammates look at him there. The part of moving Knies to the Tavares line, he's averaging through 3 games, 12 minutes. And Sheldon Keefe said, I think Knies has played actually well. I was kind of just lost a little bit on the Minton line, and he's got more to offer us. So with this, I truly believe that they think that he can become like a 30-goal scorer and super duper charge that second line, which has been doing very well this season. Like, they have actually shown chemistry. I mean, Tavares and Nylander have had some on and off chemistry over the past couple years, but I think adding Matthew Knies to this fold here gives you 2 ridiculously good top 6 lines where you have nary a weakness. Like, there's no guy you look there and think, oh man, that guy's just a placeholder. No, Matthew Knies is no placeholder, and I think they're kind of rewarding him here too. Like, you're putting him next to a guy in William Nylander who's trying to score 50 goals, who's trying to get 90, 95 points. He's trying to get a massive contract. So you're putting Matthew Knies next to him, and Matthew Knies is going to cook. Like, he was already getting a lot of chances on that Fraser-Minton line, and I think on this line, it's just going to supercharge his game, and I think it's going to supercharge the Leafs. This is not just a development move. This is a move putting your best 6 guys on your top 6. I think that's the move, and I think he's an improvement over Max Domi. We haven't really seen much good from Max Domi. He hasn't been great defensively, hasn't shown much on the offensive end. We'll see how he does on the third line with Fraser-Minton and Calle Jarnkrok. Now, speaking of Fraser-Minton, as we see here at the 2022 draft, is he gonna stay up? Now, that is a question that might have been answered here by this move, because the reason why he's kind of here, one of the reasons why is that he's earned it, but another reason is that he has this really good synergy with Matthew Knies. They have a really good chemistry, and I think at this point they're thinking, they're looking at it, we want to supercharge a top 6, and maybe they're thinking Fraser-Minton is not in the future, well, not in the current plans, rather, of their team. Maybe they want to go with a veteran like David Kampf. Maybe they want to go Max Domi at that center spot in the third line next to Calle Jarnkrok and whomever they put in there. Maybe Noah Gregor, or maybe they call up Nick Robertson. But I think Fraser-Minton, being 19 years old, I think they might look at him and think, you know what? He's been good. He's gotten some chances in the preseason, gotten some chances in the regular season, but I think they see him as a guy who could just cook a little bit more in junior. He could use that one more year of development, one more year of getting stronger, of getting bigger, getting faster, just getting smarter about the game. I don't think they want to rely on a guy who is just so green to be in their third line center spot, because the center spot is such an important role, especially the third line where you're shutting down the opponent's team. You're shutting down the opponent's best lines. You're creating offense to supplement the top 2 lines. Like, it's not an insignificant role, and I think they're going to go with a more veteran presence down there. Now, tonight, the Leafs are going to try to exact revenge against the Florida Panthers in Sunrise. They're starting off a 5-game road trip that's going to see them make their Florida tour. And this is going to be so interesting to see how they respond to this Florida Panthers team, because we all watched that second round series. The Leafs lost, but partially because they couldn't score a goal, partially because Sergei Bobrovsky channeled the soul of Dominik Hasek for 5 games. But also a big part of that series was the Leafs got bullied, they got punked, they got whooped. The Florida Panthers beat them up and down the ice, physically and mentally. So I think this game, though early in the season, is going to be a good barometer as to, has this team changed its attitude? Has it changed its approach to the game? Has this team gotten more grit, more grind, more meanness, more toughness? I mean, that is where a guy like Ryan Reaves comes in. As you can see, the Leafs should look at this picture. Sheldon Keefe should put this picture up in the locker room and say, look at these guys celebrating on your home ice. Took you out of the playoffs, upset you, beat you down. So tonight, I want to see an absolute butt kicking. I want to see you take these guys out. I think Sheldon Keefe is going to put these guys and say, listen, run up the score on these guys. Make a statement. Because when a team like that is punched in the mouth so hard in a playoff series, like for your pride, and to like send a message to the rest of the league and send a message to yourself that you're not going to get punked like that. You got to go up. They got to go out there. I want to see them beat them on the scoreboard. I want to see them fight them. I want to see them be meaner than the Florida Panthers. And I think this is a game you're going to see a lot of this man, this crazy, tough, scary man named Ryan Reaves here literally pumping up the crowd after a fight. I'm telling you, over under 2 fights. How many fights is Ryan Reaves going to get tonight? He is definitely going at it with somebody. I think this is why you bring in a guy like Ryan Reaves to rally the troops. It's why you bring in a guy like Tyler Bertuzzi, who's a great player, offensively, but is a guy who can also punch you in the face, intimidate opponents. Even Max Domi, though being a small guy, can get in people's face. He has that in him. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens tonight. I think it's going to be a violent game. And I think it's going to be a very hot-headed game. It's going to be a heated affair. And I think the Leafs are going to come out with a lot of revenge in their hearts, with some anger in their minds. They got to do it. I want to see what they look like in a playoff scenario. They got to show it to me right here tonight.